Teachers of all ages are quitting their job because of the behavior of Gen Alpha students. And they are citing that exact reason for the decision of them leaving the profession. So many people want to disparage the individual teacher for making that decision, saying that it's their age or it's the era in which they began their career, where they just can't handle this new generation of kids anymore. A few videos back, I discussed how Gen Z teachers and younger teachers that have just entered the profession are seeing some of these behaviors and they're alarmed, and a lot of them are calling it quits after a few years, realizing this is not what they want to do and put up with for the rest of their life. And I see so many people trying to say, well, they're just young and immature and they just don't know what this is all about, and if they can't handle the profession, it's good they get out now because they don't deserve the title of teacher and they need to let somebody else step in and do the job for them. When in reality, we have teachers like this person's mother who have been in the game for several decades, who knew exactly what they were getting into at the start, who had no issues up to this point. But now that they have Gen Alpha students in their classroom, they are more than willing to give up their retirement, give up their retirement pay, just so that they can escape the chaos that your children are bringing into the classroom. And what do people say about them, the older teachers? Well, they're just old and tired and jaded, and they needed to get out of the game a long time ago. They need to step aside and let some of the younger ones come in and do the job. And then you have teachers like me who were somewhere in the middle, who are in their 30s or 40s, have 5, 10, 15 years left in their career, who are also saying the same things. They're tired of dealing with the violence. They're tired of dealing with the apathy. They're tired of dealing with parents who are making the excuses and fighting them all the way through the process. They're tired of getting assaulted in their own classroom and getting blamed for it. So if you're going to sit there and blame age and era on the fact that a teacher just can't handle the job, which one is it? Is it that they're too young? Is it that they're too old? Because here's my opinion. If there are such a large majority of teachers throughout several different generations, from people in their 20s all the way through just a few years before retirement, are all saying the same thing about your children, Gen Alpha students, then you would think that it's not the generation of the teacher or the individual teacher, that the common denominator is you and your kids. Let me tell you something. A teacher doesn't just go 20 or 30 years into their career and then decide, I've had it. This is just not it for me, for no reason. You have to get to a certain point in your career where your mental health and physical health are so wrecked and in the toilet that you have to do it for survival. And any teacher that you talk to that is going to sit there and deny that there are increased issues in the classroom or gaslight other teachers for having problems and making the decision to leave are the kinds of teachers who made up their mind a long time ago that they're going to survive on a martyrdom complex and it would never matter the circumstances. This is not the only story that I hear of veteran teachers making the decision to leave the profession because they just cannot handle it anymore. It makes me incredibly sad because I hear stories like this from secondhand sources and from the teachers themselves of people that are nearing retirement age almost every single day in my comment section that said, I had to make this decision for me. And the reason why it makes me so incredibly sad is because these people made a choice a long time ago that they were getting into this job to help children because they loved teaching and they loved helping children. And the fact that they've gotten to the point where they feel like they can no longer help or serve children, and that the children have such a disdain for being there and having them as their teacher that they just feel like they're completely inept and useless, that's incredibly sad. You won't hear a lot of teachers who have decided to quit the profession that say they just quit the profession because they don't like teaching. Most of us have made the decision to quit classroom teaching because we had to do it to survive. And there's a ton of mourning and there's a ton of sadness and loss that goes into that decision. It's as if a part of our life has died. Okay, this idea that the kids haven't changed, the parents haven't changed, the teachers have changed. We're the only part of this equation that has shifted and evolved, and that teachers just don't want to teach anymore and teachers just can't handle it anymore is just simply ridiculous. It's a work of fiction. If anything, teachers have become more resilient because we've had to put up with more roadblocks and more drama and more toxicity, not just from the kids, but from parents and from admin and from the community and from our government. It's not that teachers just don't want to teach anymore. It's that teachers have had it with the bullshit that parents are throwing their way every day And the fact that they're teaching their kids to treat them like garbage, to not care about their schoolwork, to not care about their peers or anybody else's feelings, to throw hands and get in fights with the kids and the adults around them just because they're uncomfortable and triggered. It's because these kids are being taught that because the world is on fire, that nothing matters. And so every decision they make is just a decision and it doesn't affect anybody else around them. Teachers don't just not want to teach anymore. They don't want to teach under these conditions anymore. And the most sickening part of this whole thing is you have parents verbalizing out loud that they are proud of the fact that these kids are making their teachers quit. They are proud to have kids that are breaking the mold and breaking the system. I'm sorry, but you should not be proud of having a child that pushes their teacher to the brink so much that they make the decision to give up their retirement. That is not a flex. Your 10-year-old kid is not a revolutionist. They are a 10-year-old with literacy issues, chronic behavior problems, and failing grades.